practice will focus specifically on the thoracic spine, so creating some support and also mobility through the tops of the shoulders and the upper back. And it combines really two of my favorite things to do in practice, which is give you an opportunity to feel the active end range of motion of this particular part of the body, but also to use our proprioceptive awareness by resting in supported restorative poses so that you can kind of get a way of understanding how you can let that part of your body soften if need be. So this will be a fairly short practice, but we will use a lot of props in the process. So make sure you have 2 blankets, a bolster. As always, anything can serve as a bolster, maybe a thick rolled blanket or some bed pillows, and then also just 1 block we'll use today. So we're going to begin actually in a restorative pose. I'm going to have you take your blanket and unfold it 1 time so you're creating this long rectangular shape. And we're going to fold it into fourths, and we're going to do this by using an accordion fold. And so that means we'll go back and forth with the layers of the blanket so that you'll have a nice even surface for your spine to rest on. And it won't be super wide, it should be a little bit narrow. So I just usually go back and forth, and then we want 4 layers, so you'll have to do that like 3 times. And then you might need to figure out if your layers are a little uneven and to make them as smooth as possible. I'm having a little issue with my blanket here. I'll try that again. So then you'll go back, and then 1 more time. Yeah. Great. So it should look like this. So about that thickness, and then that width. And then I'm going to place this on my mat so that it's running lengthwise here. Right. If you have to kind of mold it to the way you want it to be, that's fine too. So you're going to sit with your low back either right up against the edge of the bolster, your tailbone rather, or you can have a little bit of space if the curve of the blanket is uncomfortable in your lower back. You're going to track the length of your spine down along the blanket support, and then your head will come to rest as well. You can take your arms out, maybe just letting your palms rest open on the floor. I personally prefer to keep my knees bent. You might choose to extend your legs. You could actually also support your knees with your bolster or pillows. You might also choose to widen the feet a little bit and then let the knees come together to touch. Whatever you choose, let it be restful. So there's no other distractions, but just noticing what you feel as you let your spine rest on the blanket. And you could either let your eyes close or you can keep them open, just letting your focus here rest on a point above you. And where you feel the blanket tracking between your shoulders, see if you can allow that part of your body to settle. And in doing so, you might feel some space being created across the collarbones, across the chest, There's a gentle flaring open of your rib cage. And attend to your breath in a way where you can comfortably breathe in and out. And as you start to let your breath deepen, notice if there is a natural movement you feel in your body with each part of the breath. So as the inhale comes in, there might be this opportunity to feel length or extension through your spine. And as you exhale, you might feel that opposite quality of softening and maybe even just a slight rounding of the spine. And stay with your breath for a few more cycles. See if you can bring some mobility into your upper back through your breath. And to really bring your mind's eye to that space of your upper back. So you have your spine running down the center, and then your shoulder blades kind of fold in and out like two wings. And as you feel your breath flow in, you might feel those wings broaden away from the spine. And as you exhale, you might feel your shoulder blades kind of come back to what might be considered more of a neutral position. It's like you have this active expression as the breath flows in, and then a more restful, natural pattern as the breath flows out. And it coming back to your own natural state. And then on your next inhale, you can take your arms straight up towards the ceiling. Your palms can face each other, fingertips point straight up. And then cross your right elbow in front of your left elbow and let your hands reach towards your shoulder blades, letting the arms maybe reach towards the floor. It's like you're giving yourself a little hug here. And now do the same breathing pattern, but you might feel kind of a lift through the shoulders, upper back presses into the blanket, and then as you exhale, feel that part of your body soften. Do 2 more breaths like that. And reach your arms back up. Change the cross of your elbows. Opposite elbow comes in front. Reach your hands towards your shoulders or the floor. And then take 3 cycles of breath. Good, and now bring your arms straight back up to the ceiling one more time. So here you are. And then start to reach your fingertips towards the ceiling. You'll feel your arms lift, your shoulders lift, but soften the front of your chest, or your heart rather, towards the blankets. So the upper back is rounding or flexing. Now draw your arm bones down towards the ground. You'll feel the inner edge of your shoulder blades wrapping around the blanket. You'll feel your sternum and heart lift. And do that a couple of times. You can reach your hands, feel the shoulders lift, and then soften the shoulders, the arms towards the floor. And again, reach up. Root down. Good. One more time, reach up. Now from here, let your shoulders come up towards the ears. You might feel the sides of your waist get a little bit longer. Now lower your hands, or rather draw your arm bones down. Good. And you're going to do those 3 movements. So reaching up, shoulders protract. Shoulders lift or elevate towards the ears, and then your shoulders come down, they protract. You can do a couple more times, kind of your own speed, your own rhythm. You could even kind of move those in a different order or take them in a different order, whatever feels like it would work best for you. And if your arms are getting a little tired, you could even let the elbows bend a little bit here. Good. And then bring your hands down, place them underneath the small of your back. You can bend your elbows and then curl yourself up to your seat. I'm going to keep this blanket in its fold. We'll use it again in just a little bit, but not at this point. And come to tabletop. You can bring your hands kind of hips, shoulder distance apart, your shoulders in line with your wrists, hips in line with your knees. We're going to do those same shoulder actions, but now we're using the floor to create a little bit of force. So push your hands down into the ground, feel your arm bones maybe get long. Your elbows can bend slightly if you need to have them do that. And then really feel, as much as you possibly can, the upper back rounding, shoulder blades moving away from the spine. Keep the back of your head in line with your spine. So not dropping your chin towards your chest, but really keeping the chest kind of in a neutral position. Now soften the heart towards the floor without bending the elbows. They can bend a little bit, and feel the shoulder blades move towards your spine. You can now do that a couple of times. So pushing into the floor, feel the shoulder blades draw away from the spine, and then moving shoulder blades towards the spine, heart descends. And you can kind of figure out what breathing pattern works best for you. And then if you want to add the shoulder elevation, you can. You can bend the elbows. And now just let the movement be through the upper back. So kind of doing more of an organic, creative, intuitive kind of movement here with the shoulders. You can really start to play. Notice what you want to do. Maybe bending an elbow, dropping a shoulder down, but just isolating the movement through the upper back. And of course, nothing is in total isolation in the body, but see if you can feel that happening for yourself. Good. Just a few more movements. Feel your breath. And then take your knees wide, big toes can touch. Pushing your hands forward and down, root your hips back towards your heels, and then let your forehead release towards the floor. And take a moment in child's pose. And you'll come back up to tabletop, but this time you're going to turn to face the long end of your mat so that your knees have this support and this cushion. You're going to take your blanket that you used earlier and have it kind of towards the right side of your mat. We Move back just a little bit. Right. So keeping your left hand down. Good. You're going to take your, keeping your right hand down. Take your right leg out to the right. And you can either be kind of on the sole of your right foot, or you can have the pinky toe side lifted. Now take your left arm out to the left, just about shoulder height. Thread your left arm, reach it towards your right foot, and feel the left shoulder kind of draw away from the spine. Do that a couple of times, just finding some mobility now through the upper back, letting the ribs start to mobilize in the twist. And now you're going to reach the left arm down so that your left outer shoulder is resting on the blanket, palm of the hand faces up, and then your head can release on the ground. You can do whatever you want with your right arm. Maybe keep the fingers on the ground, right elbow points up towards the ceiling. You can take your right fingertips further forward. You want to really move towards the backside of your shoulder rather than being firmly on your deltoid. See if you can pull your left hip crease back, draw navel towards spine. So feel that on the exhale. Good. And then press down into your right hand. I'm going to have you kind of slide your torso and your left shin so that it's now flat on the floor. Bring your left hand down to the ground. Press down into your left shin and take your right arm up. And then reach your right arm by your right ear. And feel kind of that whole right side of your body open a little bit. And then release. Come back to tabletop facing the long end of your mat. Slide your blanket over to the left side of your mat. Good. Now right hand stays, left hand stays planted, left leg extends. Just one of those days. So take your right arm out, thread your right arm underneath your left, reach. 2 more like that. Feel the ribs rotating. And then bring your outer right arm down to the blanket. Your head can come to the floor. Left fingertips, you can do whatever you want here. Maybe keeping the elbow bent up on your finger pads. You can take your fingertips forward, arms straight. See if you can start to move a little bit towards the back of your right shoulder. And as you exhale, feel your hips move back. And then slowly lift yourself up. You can walk your right hand towards the top of your mat. Spin your right shin so it's pointing towards your left foot. Press in to your right shin. Take your left arm up. Spin your left palm forward and then reach your left arm by your left ear. Feel the extension of your left arm from the ribs. Good. And then you can come back to tabletop, this time facing the front of your mat. Turn your toes under and then come to stand on your feet here in a forward fold. I'm just rolling over your toes, letting your head release. Good. You can let your arms kind of dangle towards the ground, but let your legs kind of be supporting you here. as you allow the upper body now to soften. And then tuck your chin toward your chest. You can bend your knees a little bit, feel the hips sinking, and start to root through your legs as you round your spine up one vertebrae at a time. And then lift your head, lift your chin, look up, open the front of the throat. And then we'll roll back down. Draw chin to chest. Let your shoulders round forward. So protraction of the shoulders. Right? And then let your fingers come down towards the floor. Let the crown of your head be heavy. And then root down into your legs. Round your spine up. Lift your head, lift your chin, open your throat. And one more time, draw your chin to your chest, round. Keep your legs somewhat active. And then press down into your legs. Come all the way up, rounding vertebrae by vertebrae, head lifts, chin lifts, look up. And come to stand in a neutral position. Great. So find one of your blocks. We're going to do those shoulder rotations one more time and get the third experience here. Now we're using the blocks, so we're adding a little bit of weight, which can make it a little more challenging for sure. So palms take hold of the block in the widest width here. And you can have a little bend in your elbows. You can have your arms straight out. Good. And now, same thing we did. Reach the fingers forward. Feel your shoulder blades move away from the spine. Lift your shoulders up to your ears. Move your shoulder blades together, and then maybe feel them release down your back. So do those circular actions, trying to feel, right, the shoulders moving in all those various directions and options and choices that you have. And then you can reverse the direction, just kind of see again, right, your block's probably heavy, especially if you're using the cork one. So it's not bad to add a little weight here. Good. And release. You can place your block down to the ground and then just pause here for a moment standing. You can close your eyes if you'd like. Notice what you feel through your upper back, your head, your neck. And then let your hands come down to the ground. Walk your hands out. We'll come into downward facing dog. So root your hands forward and down. Lengthen through the sides of your waist. Feel your head in line, your ears in line with your biceps maybe. Root your heels back, thighs back. Sides of your waist lift. And then lower down. So for our next pose, we'll use 2 blankets and then our bolster. Taking that blanket we used earlier, you can unfold it and then fold it in half widthwise. You're going to lay it so that it's right in the center of your mat. You're going to do that exact same thing with your second blanket. If you're using the ones with the fringe, I like to alternate the fringe. So your blankets can be stacked evenly. And then find your bolster. And your bolster will support your knees. Neat. So you can bring your knees up and over the bolster here, and then you want your shoulder blades to kind of catch the edge of your blanket so that the tops of the shoulders and the head will be on your mat. You might have to move your bolster in closer to support your knees, and then arms can either come out into a cactus shape or the elbows can bend. And if the blankets feel like there's too much or just feeling like it's not very comfortable, you could just use one blanket, of course. If the lower back is really arching away from the floor, you could always bend your knees and place your feet on your bolster. What that'll do is kind of bring the energy more towards your head. Your lower back will release towards the floor. It might feel a little bit better for your lower back. Knowing that you can also remove the bolster altogether and just let your feet rest on the floor. We're really just going for this now supported, restorative chest opener. Right, we've done all of this work, mobilizing the shoulders, mobilizing the ribs. And so now we can kind of take those efforts and really see if they've made any difference in what we're feeling through that part of the body. And so this pose can be as long and luxurious as you need it to be. So you're welcome to stay and just turn off the video. And then, of course, if you wanted to move into a Shavasana after this pose, that would also be a nice option. But as we move into the cold winter months, at least here in the northern hemisphere at this point, oftentimes, our shoulders can get kind of stuck, hiked up towards the ears. It can create a lot of tension. And so being able to mobilize that part of your body can really free that up so you find a little bit more spaciousness. So if you have any questions regarding the practice in this video, feel free to email me. And thank you so much for being here.